The Trump administration now weighing in on the leaking of CIA documents to WikiLeaks, exposing the agency's methods and tactics. Here's Vice President Mike Pence on special report.
If, in fact, these documents, as alleged, are from the CIA, what I can say is it would represent one of the most significant compromises of national security in recent memory. And the fact that this took place more than a year ago under the last administration, I can assure you, at the President's direction, we're carefully examining these allegations, and if proven to be true and confirmed publicly, I can assure you that no resource will be spared in holding those account who have leaked information that could well constitute a compromise of methods and a compromise of our national security.
Congressman Peter King is on the Homeland Security Committee and chairs the Subcommittee on Counterterrorism and Intelligence. Good to see you today, Congressman.
Shannon, great to be with you. Thank you very much.
Okay, having served a long time within this intelligence framework, you know how important these methods are. So how worried are you about what has been exposed? And again, the CIA not commenting on the authenticity of this, but a lot of other folks are.
Yeah, we can't comment again as to whether or not it's real, but the fact is, if it is real, as the Vice President said, this will have a devastating impact. This is one of the worst disclosures, if true, of the sources and methods of our intelligence community. And I think it's time for people to realize that Julian Assange is no friend of the United States. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, he's an enemy. And I wish Americans, especially Republicans, would stop saying good things about him. I think he should be indicted. I think we should do everything we can to extradite him back here to the United States. But this disclosure, again, if true, it can have devastating impacts for the United States, cost American lives, and put Americans at risk.
So I'm hearing from two sides on this particular debate. One side saying, hey, I think it's terrible. I think the American people should know that the CIA has this capability out there, that you can look into someone's home, their cell phones, their cars, manipulate these things through their technology. The CIA says, but we're not using it illegally on Americans. The other side saying the CIA has now exposed our enemies, our friends. They'll know a lot of the methodologies that we're using. So it's terrible from two different debates, but there are those who think it's good this information is out there so Americans are aware of the capabilities. What do you think of that argument?
I think it's ridiculous, absolutely absurd. The fact is, I want the CIA to have every possible weapon they have to use against the enemy. We have safeguards in place in the U.S. with our courts, with Congress, with the law enforcement, to make sure that abuses are not carried out. Can they be carried out? Yes, there's always chance for abuse. Every time you give a police officer a gun, there's a chance he can abuse it. But you want to make sure that law enforcement is armed against the bad guys. I want to make sure that the CIA has every weapon at their disposal to stop terrorism, to stop our enemies. And if we're going to say that our government is the enemy when we have real enemies around the world, that to me is the height of absurdity. And there's people in the Republican Party who feel away. It's the far right and the far left, and they're both wrong.
Well, do you think that's part of this leak, this dump by WikiLeaks, is to undermine Americans' confidence in their government to now have these questions about what their government is doing with this information, with these methods? Is that part of the whole plan? Is that psychological impact?
It may be, and it's being fostered by people here in the United States who carry out that argument. The fact is, our enemy is terrorism. Our enemy is certainly overseas countries, and it's important that we be able to monitor. I can assure you they are doing everything they can to get us. We have to use every weapon at our disposal. We have to get beyond this thing and saying our government is the real enemy. We have precautions here in place in this country with the courts, with law enforcement, with Congress, monitoring to make sure that abuses are not carried out, or if they are, to an absolute minimum. But on the other hand, our enemy does not stop, and we have to have every weapon at our disposal. So when you tell the American people what the CIA can do, what you're really doing is telling Al-Qaeda and ISIS and the Russians and the Chinese and the Iranians what we can do, and they can adapt and they can come back and kill Americans. And I don't want that blood on my hands.
And quickly, you talked about going after Julian Assange, getting him, prosecuting him, extraditing him, whatever we can do. The vice president there in that clip with Brett said no resource will be spared in holding those accountable who have leaked information. Quickly, do you think we get to him, and how so?
I think we should, and we should put all pressure on Ecuador. We should tell Ecuador we will take whatever economic measures that we can until they give him up and they get him out of their embassy. This to me is a disgrace that he's allowed to go over there and pontificate and expose American secrets and put American lives at risk. The next time we see Americans killed, it could be because of Julian Assange. Then we'll be realizing how foolish this debate has been going on over here.
All right. Congressman Peter King, thank you for your time today.
Shannon, thank you.
Good to see you.